What's going on, guys? So today we're going to be talking about professions. Professions go a lot deeper nowadays than they ever have. They are a lot more rewarding than they've ever been. And they're also a little more confusing than they've ever been. My goal here today is to just give you a very high-level overview of what professions are now, how far they've come, what you can do with them, and sort of all the different ways to really make the most out of professions for all of your characters. I'm going to be deep diving into some parts of it more than others, giving you all the information that matters the most. And at the end of this video, you should have a good understanding of what they are, which ones might matter the most for you, and how to select which ones for which character you're playing. That being said, let's dive right in. So professions are a funny thing to me. I believe that you should be waiting until max level to actually start focusing on professions, but I do also think there's an importance to know what they are and what they mean while you're leveling, especially as first-time players. This video is going to try and isolate the two into a beginner's version, and then I'm going to make a separate video for a more in-depth guide showing more of the advanced side of professions. So in this video, we're going to do a high-level overview of what all the professions are, talk about where you can pick them up on your leveling journey, and then from there, we will talk about how to start focusing on them at early game so that you can be more prepared once you get to late game. So on the screen, there are going to be 11 professions and 2 of what I like to call utility professions. Of the standard 11 professions, you're going to be able to pick your choice of 2. There are good profession combos that we will go over here in a bit, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it is your choice of which 2 you pick up. You are not locked into anything. The 2 utility professions are going to be things that you can pick up no matter which 2 professions that you do end up going with. These are going to be useful throughout your entire World of Warcraft experience. I always highly recommend picking up fishing and cooking. I will go over that a little bit more in depth in a bit. Let's jump right into discussing what each profession's focus is so that you understand what they all do. The first one we're going to look at is going to be blacksmithing. This is where you can find the blacksmith trainer in Stormwind. It's more than likely going to be the first main city that you come across. And this is where you can find the blacksmithing trainer when you get to Valdrakken, the new hub once you get to the Dragonflight expansion content. Blacksmith's Toolkit is going to allow them to create a few different things. Plate armor is typically found on paladins, warriors, and things of that nature. Different weapons can be crafted by blacksmiths, as well as profession equipment and consumables. Consumables are going to be great for your whole party during things like raids and dungeons. Next, we're going to talk about mining. Mining is going to go hand in hand with blacksmithing. This is where you can find the mining trainer in Stormwind. And this is where you can find the mining trainer in Valdrakken. And in Valdrakken, it is conveniently located directly next to the blacksmithing trainer, which is excellent. As you can see with mining is much simpler. You're going to be essentially using mining to find ore to be able to craft your blacksmithing recipes. Jewelcrafting also works really well with mining, as the ore that you're mining can actually be broken down and prospected into gems that can be used in the jewelcrafting profession to add nice gems to your gear. The second thing on here, Rousing Essence, is something brand new at Dragonflight, and it's something that is incredibly valuable and rare right now. Mining will allow you to farm these materials, and it's actually a really good source of gold in the game, as every profession has some use of a rousing essence that's available to miners as well as herbalists. Next up is tailoring. Tailoring is going to be right here in Stormwind. And in Valdrakken, it's going to be located right here. So as you can see with tailoring is going to be in charge of a lot. You've got cloth armor, which is good for any kind of casters. You've got spell threads, which are essentially leg enchantments that are going to be used by most caster classes. You've got bags that you can craft, which are very valuable and a great source of gold. You're also going to have profession items as well as toys. Toys are just fun things that you can play with in the game, fun for any time that you have maybe downtime or just want to show off your collection. Next, we're going to talk about leatherworking, and leatherworking is exactly what it sounds like. It's going to be located right here in Stormwind. You'll find it over in Old Town, and then it's going to be located right here when you're in Valdrakken. It's going to be conveniently located right next to the skinning trainer for both, and we will talk about skinning next. So leatherworkers are going to be in charge of leather armor, of course, as well as mail armor. They're also going to be in charge of making weapons, as well as profession equipment and consumables. Leather and mail armor are actually found on casters such as hunters, as well as shamans, and things of that nature. Next, we're going to talk about skinning, as promised. The skinning trainers are located directly next to the leatherworking trainers in both locations. It's going to be right here in Stormwind. And then in Valdrakken, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be directly beside the leatherworking trainer as well. We're located right here on the map. Skinning is going to be another collection type profession, similar to mining or herbalism, where you are essentially collecting the things you need for another profession. The skins and scales you collect from skinning will be good for leatherworking, and the reagents that you collect will be good for other professions, such as Inscriptionists, who make dragon riding customization options for your dragon riding mount. And speaking of Inscription, next we have the Inscriptionist trainer. They can be found here in Stormwind. It's going to be down in the Mage Quarter. And in Valdrakken, you can find the Inscription trainer right here. As you can see, Inscription is one of the most in-depth professions there are now. Now, this is great because Inscriptionists used to be sort of pointless, and I hate to say that, but they were. Now they've really rejuvenated the profession as a whole. Inscriptionists have a chance to make trinkets as well as weapons. They can make profession equipment. They can make missives, which are used for crafted gear to ensure you get the stats that you're looking for that crafted gear. The cosmetic glyphs are the dragon riding cosmetics that I was talking about before. And fortune cards, as well as any of the decks that they can make, are simply they're either trinkets or they're going to be, the fortune cards are a chance to get gold straight from your profession. It's honestly one of the most fun professions in the game right now, in my opinion, and I love the rework they did for it. Next, we're going to talk about Jewelcrafting. Jewelcrafting is also a really fun profession in the game right now. You can find it right here in Stormwind. And you can find it right here once you get to Valdrakken. Jewelcrafting is going to be a really important profession nowadays. You're going to be involved in making the gems for everybody's gear that has gem sockets in it. On top of that, you're going to be involved in making jewelry such as rings and necks. You're going to get to make profession equipment, consumables, crafting reagents for other professions, as well as even pets with jewelcrafting, which I think is awesome. Jewelcrafting is a profession that every other player can actually benefit from. And so this is one of the ones I always recommend to people that want to make professions a big part of their game. Next, we're going to talk about engineering. Engineering is a fun profession, if not kind of a throwaway profession. You can find it right here in Stormwind. And then once you make your way over to Valdrakken, you can find it right here next to the blacksmithing and mining trainers on the map. Engineering does have its uses. I still think it's a little bit of a throwaway profession, but every profession does have some use. With engineering, you do get to make these tinkers, which only engineers can use, and they'll increase the stats and stuff on your gear. You can also make goggles and wrists, which is cool. You can make guns, which people like hunters do need. Utility items like scopes and portable crafting stations, which are very useful. And you can even craft a duck of different varieties, which seems silly because it is silly. I do love engineering, but it's a little goofy. Getting into alchemy, alchemy is actually extremely useful for every single person in the game. You can find the alchemy trainer here in Stormwind, and you can find the alchemy trainer right here once you get to Valdrakken. Alchemy is another strange profession, but I actually love alchemy. You get the chance to make consumables, a whole bunch of different potions that anybody can use. They're very valuable in the auction house. You can also make transmutations, which are going to turn certain elements into different elements. You have the option to make cauldrons. Cauldrons are going to give anybody in your party a chance to get some random temporary potions, as well as alchemist stones, which are trinkets that alchemists can create. Next, we're going to talk about herbalism. Herbalism is the final collection profession, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You can find it right here in Stormwind, and then once you get to Valdrakken, you can find it right here. As you can see, herbalism is just as simple as the other collection professions. You're going to be collecting herbs for many, many different professions, including alchemy. And you're also going to be collecting rousing essence, just like mining, which are very, very valuable in the auction house. Herbalism is another one that's a good route to go if you're looking to use professions to make gold in WoW. And finally, to close out the list of main professions, we have Enchanting. You can find it right here when you get to Stormwind. And then you can find it right here once you get to Valdrakken. Enchantment is actually a really good one to end on because I find that they're one of the most useful professions you can pick up in WoW at the moment. They can make enchantments, which can go on many pieces of gear that will increase stats, main and secondary. They also have illusions and adornments, which are just cosmetic things that you can put on weapons or shoulders. They can make weapons as well as a pet and even a lockpick, which is awesome. I really enjoy enchanting. It's one that I always go with on my cloth wearers. As promised, I'm also going to talk about fishing and cooking. They're what I consider utility professions. They can be picked up on top of your regular 2 professions. As you can see in this video, I have my 2 regular professions, herbalism and mining, as well as cooking, fishing, right up here. And then there's even a third one called archaeology, but you can forget about archaeology because it does not exist in this game as of right now. I do kind of hope they bring it back. Picking up any of these professions is going to look the same across the board. You'll go to your trainer and open their menu. It'll show you 10 copper to start. You're going to accept that. And then to learn the most recent version of that profession will cost 100 gold. And you'll have to go ahead and accept that as well, where congratulations, you have learned the profession. This is a huge reason why I talk about not focusing too heavily on professions while you're leveling. There are ways you can go about it where you can pick some up that maybe are more useful than others while you're leveling. But I think professions can be a bit of a time and a money sink, and gold is not very common at lower levels. I mean, even once you hit max level and you start doing the stuff at that end, it's still not incredibly easy to get gold in this game. So sinking all of your resources into it early, it's just not the best idea in my opinion. However, there are 2 in particular that I would consider picking up early, which are mining and herbalism, because every time you mine a node or you do herbalism and pick up some sort of herb, you are getting experience. So you're actually kind of speeding up the process a little bit to getting yourself to max level. You can sell all of them for gold on the auction house that you pick up, all the mining nodes that give you ore, all the herbalized plants. You can sell them all or keep them, and then once you hit max level, you can drop them both and pick up something where you can use all of these things that you picked up. Now, it doesn't 100% work as well when you're going from, like, let's say level 1 to level 60, because those professions they're going to be old. They're going to be stuff that you might be able to use while you're leveling, but they're not going to be very useful at endgame. Once you hit level 60, from level 60 to 70, I think that's when it's really important to have some of those collection professions, because then you're going to be picking up current profession items, and so it'll be a little bit more useful for you at endgame. I'd say if you're going to pick up anything, pick up herbalism and mining for leveling from 1 to 70. But don't worry about actually holding on to anything until you hit level 60 and start mining things out in the Dragon Isles. That's just my opinion, though. I know other people will have different takes on this, and there are people that will legitimately go through this whole game and only do professions, and that's fine. If you want to do that, you can do that. Everything costs money. This is a wonderful game where you actually do not have to spend real life money to be wealthy in game. You can build yourself a little bit of a stack of gold just with what you do in game. In fact, everything you can spend real life money on in this game is completely optional. I think I've only bought a handful of things in my time, and I've been playing since 2005. And those are just like a couple of mounts they had I thought were really cool. So don't worry about having to spend real money on anything. You can make this as easy and, you know, useful for you as you want it to be. It's just about how much time and effort you're willing to sink into things. I think there's a lot to think about with professions. I think at the end of the day, it is all up to personal choice. I have every profession across all of my max level characters. I don't have to choose anymore. I can do all of them. And it's cool, but I'm not hyper focusing on any of them. Some of them I do a little more than others. Some of them I enjoy a little more than others. But ultimately, I've decided to give myself a chance to try everything. And that's exactly what I recommend for you guys all the time. Try everything. Do not limit yourself in this game. There are so many options and paths that you can take that you can really find yourself enjoying more than others. And if you listen to what the meta is or what the best thing to do is, you're just harming yourself. You're missing out on things that I think you could potentially enjoy more than others because you're listening to what other people are telling you is best. My whole goal with these videos that I'm doing is to give you an idea of what everything is so that you can make a real decision for yourself about what would be the most fun for you in this game. So hopefully you take something away from this. I will do a part 2. In the part 2, I'll go a little bit more in depth with how to level different professions and the different things that each one can make. I think I might make it a mini series and actually do a video per profession because they do get really in depth. This was a very high level overview of all of them, just to kind of introduce them to you. So look forward to that in the future. It probably won't be until a little bit down the line, but there's a lot of good content creators out there that'll be able to give you some really good insight into any specific profession you decide to pick. But I appreciate you hanging out. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. But until next time, goodbye.